She was only 14. A winter morning in Cleveland. A school uniform. A backpack. A routine walk to school. And then, nothing. No trace. No scream. No goodbyes. What happened to Alianna DeFreeze in those first silent hours would haunt an entire city. But what's worse? It didn't have to happen. This is a story of failure. Of predators hiding in plain sight. Of systems asleep at the wheel. Of a horror that should have been stopped, but wasn't. January 26, 2017. Alianna wakes up early, like always. She's got on her school uniform, white shirt, khaki pants, navy hoodie. Her backpack is packed. Her earbuds in. She kisses her mom goodbye and leaves for school at 6:50 a.m. She never arrives. Her school, E-Prep and Village Prep Woodland Hills, doesn't notify the family that she's missing until over 6 hours later. That delay would prove deadly. Her parents are frantic. Her father calls the police. A citywide search begins. Flyers go up. Neighbors check alleys, garages, dumpsters. But for days, nothing. Until February 1st. 5 days later, a body is found in an abandoned house. Frozen. Mutilated. Unrecognizable. It's Alianna. The house where she was found? Vacant. Boarded up. No electricity. But inside, police find blood. DNA. A nightmare. She was tortured. Raped. Murdered with a drill, box cutter, and hammer. The violence is so extreme, even veteran detectives are shaken. What kind of person does this? How did he get to her? And how was he not stopped? The breakthrough comes from surveillance footage. Alianna is seen at a bus stop. Then, minutes later, she's walking with a man. They head toward the abandoned house. She doesn't look scared. She seems to follow him. This isn't a stranger dragging her off the street. She went willingly. Police trace the man. His name? Christopher Whitaker. And here's the twist. Whitaker isn't some unknown monster. He's already a registered sex offender. Convicted years earlier. Released. Free. And somehow, no one was watching. Let's break this down. Whitaker was convicted of aggravated robbery and sexual battery in 2005. He served time. Then, paroled. There were warning signs. Behavior flags. He failed check-ins. But still, no one pulled him back in. Now he's accused of the brutal murder of a child. How does this happen? Why wasn't he being monitored? Where were the parole officers? Why did the school wait 6 hours to call home? Every step in Alianna's final day is laced with small failures. Each one stacking toward tragedy. Police arrest Whitaker on February 2nd. He denies everything. At first. Then, after hours of questioning, DNA evidence, and surveillance footage, he confesses. But what he describes is even more horrific than anyone imagined. He says he was high on drugs. Saw her at the bus stop. Followed her. Convinced her to come with him. Inside the abandoned house, he says, he snapped. But here's what doesn't add up. Whitaker brought tools with him. A drill. A hammer. That's not a snap. That's a plan. So the question becomes, was this truly random? Or was Alianna targeted? The media explodes. Protesters demand answers. The city blames the school. The school blames policy. Everyone blames Whitaker. But no one talks about the deeper truth. This wasn't just one man's evil. It was everyone's silence. Alianna's family files a lawsuit against the school, citing negligence. Why didn't they alert anyone sooner? Why wasn't there a safety plan for kids walking to school alone in the early dark? And here's something even more disturbing. Alianna wasn't the only girl walking that route. Dozens of students took that path. Every morning. Every week. Anyone could have been next. But then, something surfaces. A sealed court document from years earlier. It details an eerily similar assault. Same MO. Same tools. Same excuses. Whitaker had been caught, twice, with tools meant for torture. He was known. Flagged. Still released. Even worse? In the weeks before Alianna's death, he'd been spotted near another school. Loitering. Watching. Reported. And nothing was done. The monster didn't hide. He was right there. Everyone saw him. No one stopped him. But just when the case seems closed, something happens that reopens everything. 1 month after Whitaker's arrest, a second tip comes in. A man calls the police. He says, "I know what happened to that girl." But Whitaker wasn't alone. He names another man. A name that's never been made public. one with a sealed record. And a badge. Was Alianna really alone with Whitaker? What did the sealed documents reveal? And how deep does the cover-up go? Don't forget to subscribe. Hit the bell. You're not ready for what's coming. Alianna DeFreeze should be alive today. She did everything right. She walked to school. She trusted the world. The world failed her. At 7:30 a.m., class began. Alianna's chair was empty. No red flag. No call home. Not until after 1 p.m. That's over 5 hours lost. Time she was still alive. Time when intervention might have worked. Instead, silence. No protocol triggered. No alert to her mother. And the school? They said they assumed she was running late. But here's what they missed. Alianna had never been late. Not once. She was reliable. Punctual. Her absence wasn't just out of character. It was a scream. And no one heard it. The footage surfaced days later. Security cameras from a nearby business. Timestamp, 7:07 a.m. There she is. Alianna. Walking calmly. Earbuds in. Backpack slung over her shoulder. Then, a man joins her. He talks to her. She nods. They walk. Together. Into a vacant house. She's never seen leaving. That was the moment. Right there. Frozen in time. The moment she disappeared. What did he say? What lie did he tell? And how did he seem safe enough to follow? The man in the video? Christopher Whitaker. But here's what no one was prepared for. He wasn't a mystery. He was in the system. Whitaker was a convicted sex offender. He served time for aggravated robbery and sexual battery in 2005. Paroled. Then, he vanished into the cracks. No active monitoring. No home visits. No GPS ankle bracelet. He slipped through. And here's what's worse. Just 1 month before Alianna's murder, Whitaker had violated his parole. He failed to check in. Tested positive for drugs. Was reported loitering outside a local school. Still, no action taken. A flag was raised. The system hit snooze. He was out. Unwatched. And hunting. Let's go back. To the start. Before the headlines. Before the horror. January 26th. 6:40 a.m. Alianna wakes up. It's cold outside. But she's got a big day. There's a math quiz she's nervous about. She's been studying all week. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story shocked you, like and subscribe to True Crime Series for more cases that expose the darkest corners of human nature. She brushes her teeth. Pulls her hair into a ponytail. Throws on her school hoodie. She grabs her backpack. Says goodbye to her mom. Steps outside into the dark, freezing morning. It's a short walk to the bus stop. Half a mile. She's done it dozens of times. But this time, a man is waiting. And everything changes. Alianna DeFreeze wasn't just a face on a flyer. She was smart. Funny. Loved to dance. Her cousin said she could memorize full choreography off TikTok in 10 minutes. Her mom says she had plans, wanted to be a nurse. She was the middle child. Peacemaker of the family. Always making people laugh, even in tension. And she trusted people. Maybe too much. That's what hurts the most. That she was kind, even in danger. A girl who believed she'd be safe in her own neighborhood. She wasn't. You might ask, how could this happen? But the real question is, how many chances did we have to stop it? Here's the truth. Every layer failed. The school didn't call home. The parole system didn't act. The neighborhood saw things. A man loitering. A boarded-up house with noises inside. But no one intervened. This wasn't a single moment. It was an avalanche of small silences. One teacher assumed she was skipping. A neighbor thought she looked fine. An officer dismissed a report as non-urgent. Each silence was a nail in her coffin. Let's talk about something uncomfortable. If Alianna had been white, would the system have moved faster? If she lived in a wealthier zip code, would the school have called at 7:35 a.m. instead of 1 p.m.? Would there have been breaking news alerts? Amber alerts? Helicopters in the sky? Because here's the thing. There was no Amber alert. Why? Because they said there was no evidence of abduction. But how do you define evidence? When the victim is a black girl in East Cleveland, walking alone in the cold. Before dawn? Alianna's death exposed more than one predator. It exposed a system that devalues some lives more than others. That waits to act, until it's too late. Just when it seemed the case was closed, a tip came in. An anonymous call. The voice was shaking. "I know what happened to that girl," the man said. But Whitaker wasn't the only one. The operator asked him to explain. He refused to give his name. Said he used to work for the city. Then, he dropped a name. A name connected to Cleveland PD. He claimed a second man was at the house. He said Whitaker was covering for someone. That there were files sealed by the department. Then he hung up. The tip was flagged. Reviewed. Quietly dismissed. But a junior investigator, new to the department, didn't let it go. She filed a report. Requested the sealed records. 2 days later, she was pulled off the case. 1 week later, a confidential envelope was slid under her office door. Inside, a redacted internal report. A name circled. A line highlighted. Whitaker met with a parole officer 2 days before the murder. A second man was present. The record was sealed by internal order. And the name listed? A retired officer. One with multiple misconduct complaints. One who lived just blocks from the murder scene. Suddenly, the story shifted. Was Alianna the victim of a lone predator? Or a protected secret? Was there a cover-up? And how far did it reach? That junior investigator? She tried to reopen the case. Was denied. Then, she went missing. No phone calls. No messages. Her apartment, empty. Only one thing left behind. A printed photo of Alianna. And a handwritten note on the back. It wasn't just Whitaker. Look closer. He wasn't supposed to talk. Next time. Who was the second man inside the house? Why were files sealed by Cleveland PD? And what happened to the investigator who got too close to the truth? Subscribe. Hit the bell. You need to see what's coming next. Because the case of Alianna DeFreeze? It's not over. It's only just begun. February 2017. Cleveland, Ohio. A 14-year-old girl vanishes on her way to school. Her name? Alianna DeFreeze. She was supposed to take the RTA bus that morning. A short trip she'd done many times. Normal. Routine. Safe, until it wasn't. In the last episode, we saw how a slow response and shocking surveillance footage cracked the case wide open. Now, we go deeper. And what we find will make your blood run cold. The man seen in the footage, white hoodie, gray coat, scruffy beard, was quickly identified. Christopher Whitaker. 44 years old. Known to law enforcement. Familiar to parole officers. Unfamiliar to the girl he lured from that bus stop. He didn't just walk into Alianna's life. He stalked it. Slithered through a crack in a broken system. And by the time anyone noticed, it was too late. Whitaker led Alianna into an abandoned building. Surveillance footage captured the two walking in. She never walked back out. For 2 days, police searched. Flyers went up. Tips poured in. But one lead stood out. A caller said they'd seen a man matching Whitaker's description near a vacant home. Police forced entry. What they found inside was horrific. Alianna's body, left in the cold. Mutilated. Bound. Brutalized. The coroner's report was devastating. Multiple blunt force injuries. Stab wounds. Sexual assault. Trauma that could only be described as inhuman. And the DNA left behind? A match, Christopher Whitaker. But here's the twist. Whitaker should not have been free. This wasn't his first offense. Not his second. He had a violent record going back years. In 2005, Whitaker was convicted of aggravated sexual battery. He was labeled a Tier 2 sex offender. He did time. But not enough. After his release, he was supposed to be monitored. Tracked. Supervised. Instead, he slipped through. No ankle monitor. No house check. No regular reporting. According to state documents, he hadn't been in compliance for months. And yet, no one acted. It gets worse. Just weeks before Alianna disappeared, Whitaker was seen lurking near another bus stop. Multiple witnesses say he harassed girls, followed them, made them uncomfortable. One woman even reported him to police. But the file? Closed. No action taken. That complaint sat on someone's desk, ignored. Unread. Dismissed. Imagine that. A known predator. Unmonitored. Unwatched. Unstopped. At 7 a.m. on the morning of her disappearance, Alianna left home. She was supposed to be at school by 7:30. By 8 o'clock, she was marked absent. But no one told her family. No call. No alert. Nothing. It wasn't until 5 p.m., 10 hours later, that her mother realized something was wrong. 10 hours. How many of those hours could have been the difference between life and death? Her family called police. The search began. But by then, she was already gone. Alianna's family was furious, devastated, broken, but not silent. They filed a lawsuit against the school district and the city. Their claim? If the school had notified them of her absence immediately, they could have acted sooner. Maybe stopped Whitaker. Maybe saved her. The case revealed another failure. CMSD, Cleveland School District, had a policy to call home when a student was absent. But it wasn't consistently followed. It wasn't enforced. And that inconsistency cost a life. Whitaker was arrested days after the discovery of Alianna's body. When confronted with the evidence, DNA, surveillance, witness statements, he confessed. The court didn't waste time. He was charged with aggravated murder, rape, kidnapping, abuse of a corpse, and more. He pleaded guilty to all counts. It was over quickly. He was sentenced to death. But the sentence didn't bring peace. Not really. Because even as Whitaker was led away, cuffed and silent, the question hung in the air like smoke. How many times did the system miss him? By now, it was clear Whitaker was a monster. But this story? It's not just about him. It's about everything that let him roam free. The parole system. The broken monitoring process. The ignored warnings. The slow school response. The city's failure to act. One after another, a domino effect of neglect. If just one safeguard had worked, she might be alive. The community erupted. Vigils were held. Protests grew. Not just for Alianna, but for every girl who walked alone, every child unprotected, every name we never heard on the news. One sign at a rally read, "She wasn't invisible. You just weren't looking." It hit hard. Because it was true. Alianna was young, black, and from an under-resourced neighborhood. And in America? That combination often means less urgency, less media, and less justice. Here's what we know now. Whitaker's parole officer hadn't checked in on him in over 90 days. His last GPS monitor was removed due to low risk. No alerts were issued when he went off-grid. Complaints made by concerned citizens were filed and forgotten. School attendance alerts were delayed by hours. Each of those failures alone is troubling. Together, they're deadly. As journalists dug deeper, one strange detail emerged. The house where Alianna was killed? It wasn't just random. Whitaker had keys to it. Investigators assumed it was just an empty building. But property records show the house had been recently foreclosed. It had ties to a private security firm that once employed Whitaker on a temp basis. The firm? No comment. And then, something strange happened. A sealed file linked to the foreclosure case suddenly vanished from the court system. No digital copy. No record of the motion. Gone. Even police said they had no idea why it was sealed, or who sealed it. 1 week before his trial, Whitaker requested to speak to detectives. Not his lawyer. Not a judge. Detectives. What he told them was sealed. But sources close to the case say he mentioned another name. Someone who helped him. Someone higher up. Was it real? Or a last-minute lie? No one knows. But just days later, Whitaker stopped talking. He told the court he had nothing more to say. Just like that, the door slammed shut. A 14-year-old girl. Just trying to get to school. A predator with a key to a house he shouldn't have had. A system that failed to stop the inevitable. And a question that haunts every second. Was Whitaker really acting alone? Who really owned the building? What's in the sealed file? And what was Whitaker too afraid to say? Stay tuned. Because this story? It's not over. Not even close. January 26, 2017. Alianna DeFreeze walked through the doors of a building she thought was safe. She never walked out. The last footage of her alive shows a child with a backpack, and no idea what's waiting inside. Alianna's mother, tearfully. She was always singing. Always sketching in her notebook. That morning, I watched her walk to the corner. I waved. I went to work. I didn't know I'd never see her again. She was 14. Bright. Quirky. Obsessed with colors and cartoons. And that morning, nobody realized she was walking toward a predator. The building she entered was supposed to be abandoned. It had no reason to be open. No reason to have a man inside waiting. So how did Christopher Whitaker, an ex-con with a brutal past, have access? Whitaker had been arrested multiple times. felonious assault, weapons charges. In 2005, he raped a 19-year-old woman at knife point. He was convicted. He got 4 years. 4 years. For a violent, premeditated rape. He served 3. Then he was free. Alianna's mother. She kissed me on the cheek and said, "I'll see you after school." And then, hours passed. No texts. No check-in. I called the school. They said she never showed up. She left home at 7 a.m. Her first period teacher marked her absent. But no one called home. Not until 4 p.m. By then, she'd been missing for almost 9 hours. This is the moment. The last confirmed sighting. There is no footage of what happened next. Only what they found later. 3 days later, investigators found Alianna's body in an abandoned home nearby. Naked. Beaten. Tortured beyond imagination. She had broken bones. Missing teeth. Ligature marks. Burn wounds. They believe she was held alive. 4 hours. How did he lure her inside? Why was a registered sex offender roaming freely? Why didn't anyone raise the alarm sooner? 2005, rape conviction. 2009, released. 2013, drug possession. 2015, weapons charge. 2016, failed to register address. Every warning sign was ignored. Every rule bent. Every chance to stop him, missed. Whitaker should have been back behind bars in 2016. Instead, he slipped through. Why? There were gaps in interagency communication. Parole violations weren't tracked. And for registered sex offenders, that's catastrophic. And the school? Their own policy required immediate parent notification. It didn't happen. Alianna's mother. If they'd called me. If anyone had acted sooner. She might be here. They sued the school district. And the city. Claiming negligence, racial bias, and fatal delay. Failure to notify. Inadequate monitoring. Ignored community safety warnings. Cleveland exploded with grief and rage. Because it wasn't just about Alianna. Dozens of other cases. Ignored. Forgotten. Until it was too late. Black children make up over 35% of all missing youth. But receive a fraction of the media attention. And even less institutional urgency. Christopher Whitaker didn't deny it. He confessed. To everything. He said he didn't know why he did it. He cried. He asked for forgiveness. You stole her life. But you didn't break us. We still say her name. Judge. We the jury find the defendant guilty on all counts. Sentenced to death. But just when the community began to breathe again, new information surfaced. Whitaker recanted his confession. Claimed coercion. Claimed he wasn't alone. A second male profile. Unmatched. Never explained. We're reviewing this evidence in light of recent developments. So now the question isn't just how the system failed. It's who else was there. Another man. Another predator. Still out there? Alianna's case might not be over. And someone may have helped cover it up. This frame, never shown before, raises questions. Was Whitaker acting alone, or was she handed over? The overlooked DNA. The sealed records. And the whistleblower who claims the city knew more than it told. Because if Whitaker wasn't the only monster, then Alianna's killer might still be walking free. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story shocked you, like and subscribe to True Crime Series for more cases that expose the darkest corners of human nature.